With a huge cast of characters showing up in the SMG4 universe, some of them have seemingly disappeared. So today we'll be covering the truth behind all of the main forgotten characters, starting with Enzo. Enzo was introduced in the Season 2 video, The Imposter, as a friend of SMG4 who later turned evil after his birthday party was ruined by Mario. This problem caused him to show up in a future video to get his revenge on Mario before getting arrested twice. He makes a few smaller appearances after these arrests, with the most important one being in the Season 4 video, The Christmas Crazies, where he attempts to cause as much chaos as he can, like usual, before Mario and SMG4 finally get him to calm down by giving him his long overdue replacement birthday cake from his previous party that was ruined, presumably ending the character's story as a happy one where he's finally made up with the rest of the SMG4 crew. But while Enzo was given a somewhat happy ending, the same can't be said about X. X was a classic character in the SMG4 universe who started appearing in Season 1 as somewhat of a side protagonist who would help out Mario and SMG4 in various videos. However, a few seasons later, his role would be decreased in favor of other protagonist-related characters, leaving him to mainly show up as the host of a special series on the channel instead. War of the Fat Italians that he was in charge of due to the fact that X was the one who originally thought of the idea all the way back in 2011. X would remain the host of the series until 2019, where he would finally be sick of hosting this event and have a big rage quit, retiring his main role on the SMG4 channel. He would only return on the channel later on in small cameo roles. And while X was at least given smaller and smaller roles after his main disappearance, Minion was a different story, as she was brought into the SMG4 universe as a first of her kind. In the Season 5 episode, Luigi's Labyrinth, she was introduced as a female clone Mario created who had a strange backstory. During her creation, not only was her DNA fused with traces of SMG4's DNA, making her technically related to him, but it was also fused with spaghetti, partially explaining her moments of stupidity throughout different videos. After multiple appearances, her character was abruptly brought to an end in a 2019 flashback video with not much context behind her exit from the channel. She simply faded out after her main appearance. But thankfully, we were given a lot more details towards Fighting Mario's disappearance from the channel. Fighting Mario, or FM for short, was a more popular SMG4 character known for his intense fighting skills and occasional bad temper. It could be said these qualities were partially behind the reason for his transition into a police officer character later on in future SMG4 videos. And although he made a recent cameo in Boopkins vs. Bob and has appeared in many of the channel's bigger annual celebrations videos, the last main video he was a part of outside of these was in the Season 8 video, Mario and the Well. In this video, he was again put into his typical police officer role where this time, things would take a turn. Towards the end of the video, FM would go through the tragedy of finding out that his fellow police officers had drowned at the end. Then he was kicked aside by Donkey Kong. And while what happened to FM in the end was considered more on the tame side, Jeeves' disappearance was a lot more brutal. Jeeves was one of the early main antagonists who was basically the Mr. Krabs of the SMG4 videos. He was obsessed with money to the point of owning tons of the Mushroom Kingdom's businesses and was easily bribed into being obedient to other characters. But later on in SMG4's Stupid Mario Golf, karma would finally catch up to Jeeves for being a villain for so long. After summoning Matt to wreak havoc on the rest of the characters, he would basically get betrayed instead and turned into plane tickets to Brazil that were then given to Mario for some reason, with his roles following this crazy ending being reduced to minor cameos. But Jeeves' long list of earlier appearances set him apart from the next forgotten character, SMG5. SMG5 was only introduced on the SMG4 channel one time in the video called The Totally Accurate Documentary of Mario, where him and Luigi were forced to watch some pretty diabolical things Mario was doing. Trust me, I'm hiding this for a reason. And while his appearance was more of a joke, there was a lot more to the story behind SMG0. SMG0 originated from another universe in the SMG4 videos where he and his avatar Fred lived a perfect life. That is, until a character named Niles ruined everything for them. With Niles seeing a problem with SMG0's universe, he decided to kill Fred, SMG0's avatar, and merge with SMG0 to form a whole new character, Eldritch SMG0. From there, this new character would cause chaos for the main cast, becoming a massive threat to the entire universe as a whole. But in the end, Eldritch SMG0 ended up being separated back into the two original characters, SMG0 and Niles, right as they got blown up by SMG1 and SMG2. Never to return again. But an even bigger loss for the SMG4 community was the next forgotten character, Terrence, who had a small but super important role in the SMG4 universe. Terrence was a special Ugandan Knuckles who ended up being sacrificed in one of the SMG4 movies. His essence was basically weaponized in order to help power up Mario for his big fight against Eldritch SMG0 to save the universe. Despite the end of this character, he went on to be a legend with SMG3 hosting a funeral service to honor Terrence's ultimate sacrifice. And even though Terrence was only given a small role on the channel, a much bigger role was given to this next character, Axol. In his introduction video, The Japan Trip, Axol displayed a special ability that was unheard of throughout any of the previous SMG4 videos. He was able to make his drawings come to life, and he would use these drawings to help the main SMG4 cast on various adventures as an ally before one of these adventures would cause problems. You see, in the same SMG4 movie where Terrence sacrificed himself, Axol ended up sadly doing the same exact thing. After being possessed by SMG0 near the end of the movie, his crush Melanie had no choice but to destroy him in order to help save the universe. While Axol went out with honor and respect, the same can't be said for our next character, Starman 3. Starman 3 was one of the very old original characters making his debut in a Super Mario 64 bloopers video. He would go on to be one of the most frequently appearing YouTuber characters alongside X and SMG4 himself before something would happen in real life that would change the trajectory of the character. Starman was essentially accused of some bad things that eventually led to the removal of his character entirely from future SMG4 videos. While the situation with Starman was more on the controversial side, there was a slightly different situation going on with the Box Club leader. In the season 11 video, Mario Goes to College, the Box Club leader was brought into the SMG4 videos as an antagonist who led the Box Club that all worshipped the God Box. And in a crazy twist, his dedication to the box was what ultimately led to the Box Club leader's downfall. In the SMG4 movie Revelations, the same box decided to bestow some of its power to this club leader, which ended up being too much for him to handle, marking his final appearance on the SMG4 channel. But even a similar death wasn't enough to stop this next character, Silent Guy, an older season 1 antagonist who would basically attack any character he'd come in contact with for no reason. He caused a streak of chaos in Super Mario 64 bloopers, The Visitor, before Mario eventually killed him with King Bob-omb. But even after his death, he was actually brought back to life in a later episode by SMG3, who used him and a team of more villains to destroy SMG4. From there, he would go on to make smaller roles in future videos with nothing major compared to his prime on the SMG4 channel. The same channel that recently had a huge update despite the recent SMG4 retirement announcement that was released. It turns out with SMG4's legacy coming to a close later this year, it was actually more to the story in terms of what to expect for SMG4 related content. And I'm able to put together everything about the situation for you into this video right here. So for what we know about the SMG4 situation, make sure to check it out.